Leeds can take the credit for many things. Marks and Spencer's, the board game Monopoly, and the Kaiser Chiefs. But world-beating sports cars? I'm Jonathan Straight, and this is a pretty ordinary-looking industrial estate on the outskirts of Leeds at a place called Garforth. It's a far cry from the world of F1, but inside here is home to tyre-shredding, gas-guzzling, speed camera-busting racing cars. So here's one of the engines that powers the Ginetta racing cars, and I'm here with Clive, who's manager of the engine shop. So Clive, tell me what we've got here.
This is a 3.7 Ford engine that we use in our most popular car, actually, the Ginetta G55 race car, around 350 horsepower.
And how fast will that make the car go?
It depends on gearing, but 170, 180 miles an hour on some of the longer circuits.
Wow, that's pretty fast. And I know what everybody wants to know is how fast will it do 0 to 60, do you know?
I have absolutely no idea, but you're looking 3.5 seconds.
That's quite amazing. Are people surprised when you tell them that you're making racing cars in Leeds?
To a certain extent, yeah. Everyone that comes round, does a tour of the factory, is pretty wowed by the level of expertise and the amount that we take on in-house in a one-stop shop, yeah.
So Mick, tell me what we've got here. We've got tubes, we've got pieces of metal. What's going on here?
I'm making a G40 race car. This is the jig that everything sits on. You have to work off this. This is a line. Everything's based off of this jig. This is the base, and these are roll loops. This is the roof bars. It's a complete car once I've finished with welding. Then it goes into another bay and it gets its body put on. But this is the fabrication side of it.
And have you always been a welder?
I've been a welder type person since about 11 years old, yeah.
Really? And have you always worked here, or did you work somewhere before?
No, I've just finished my first year. I've been here a year, and I worked at a bus company before, welding, fabricating.
And what's it like to make sports cars in Leeds?
Pretty good. So I've always been into cars, and this is like a hobby type job, so it's pretty good, yeah.
So it's like getting paid for what you love doing?
Basically, yeah.
So I'm here with Lawrence Tomlinson, who's chairman of the company. So Lawrence, thanks for joining us today. How did you first get into the car business?
Well, I started racing myself after a track day. My friend owned a garage in Harrogate, and we went up, did a track day. The guy who was my driving instructor got me into motor racing. I was looking to buy TVR, and Ginetta came on the market, and that was it. It was the first car I ever raced.
So how come the business is based in Leeds?
Well, I'm a Batley lad, and I went to local universities, and I know how fantastic the area is. We have a fantastic motorway network, so we have access to all the racetracks in the UK. But for me, it's about the skills that people in Leeds have. The skills that have come from the coal mining industry, the textile industry, which have, shrunken down. We often think about those industries as being coal or being textiles. There's a huge amount of mechanical and electrical engineering and skills such as welding, which are essential for us here. And the guys who had those skills and were properly apprentice trained are getting of an age now, so we buddy up our younger apprentices with the older guys, teach those skills and pass them on to the next generation. So it basically means that we have a really well-trained workforce, and it's compact here in Leeds, and we're fortunate to find this really nice factory here in Garforth.
How many different models of car do you make here?
We make 3 main models of car. They're all basically racing cars, some of which you can use on the road.
And how many cars do you make each year?
We're making roughly 150 to 200 cars a year here. Our maximum capacity is 300, and we will gradually build up to that because we like to give our customers value and have good residual values for them.
And where does the name Ginetta come from?
The name Ginetta was decided on in 1958 when the company was formed by four brothers, the Walklets, and it's a secret.
Do you know the secret?
I certainly do.
But you're not sharing it.
It's for me to keep for a while. Maybe I'll pass it on to someone else.
So this is the design office where a whole team is putting together every little nut and bolt of the Ginetta racing cars. And I'm here with Arno, who's designing something for a very new car. Arno, what have we got here?
This is the assembly of our new G57 racing car. So it's just been launched at the Autosport show last month. Here we can see the LS3 engine, the bell housing assembly and the gearbox, and how the wheel attaches to this assembly.
And so what we've just seen on the CAD screen has actually been made into a car here. And I'm with Peter, who's the head designer here. Peter, tell us what's happening here.
So here we have our engine. It's around 550 horsepower, which is a lot of power for a lightweight car like this. It's got our own in-house developed engine that we've done ourselves based on the Chevy LS3 engine. It has lots of parts that we bolt onto the engine from once the engine builders have finished that. So we have all the air intake system here, which is all carbon fibre. We have adapters, and we have a nice big exhaust system that allows us to run at quiet track days and track events. And then on the side you see all the cooling system, which cools all the engine. It's also got air conditioning, so we cool the driver as well.
Is that quite unusual for a racing car?
It is, yeah. There are lots of racing cars with it, but it adds lots of complication. But it's important that the driver's comfortable and can think about driving, not being too hot. So we have it on this system. It's driven by the engine and keeps the cockpit quite cool.
Peter, this is the body of the car, and it looks quite a bit different from a usual car. What's this actually made from?
So this is all made from carbon fibre composites. It's a lightweight, very, very strong material, so we can do lots of complicated shapes, unlike road cars can, but we make lots of complicated shapes for the aesthetics of the car, but also it has to produce a lot of downforce, so there's a lot of design areas where we produce downforce from this bodywork. And like you say, the materials are different as well. So we have lightweight for performance, but for the shape and manufacturability. But also the front end here has a nose cone which is crash tested, so the driver's safe. So we have had to crash this whole car into a wall effectively.
How many times do you have to crash it? Just the once?
Once, assuming everything passes well. Yeah, just once. So
that's presumably quite an expensive exercise.
Exactly. So the test is expensive. The certification of that's expensive, and we have to smash pieces. So yeah, it is expensive.
And because it's light, presumably it can go a lot faster.
Exactly, that's the intention. So it's lighter weight. It means that the car can go faster because the power to weight increases, but also all the suspension dynamics work better because it allows the suspension to react to the road rather than the weight of the car.
So this is the nose of the car, and this is the bit that's going to be crash tested. And it must have taken hours and hours of careful work to make this. So how do you feel about it just being ploughed into a concrete wall?
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's quite shocking to see when you've put all these hours into the design. Like you say, it's quite a big feature at the front of the car, so it's got to look nice. It's made very nicely by the guys in our carbon shop. And then we have to plough it straight into a wall. It's quite a brutal thing to see, but it seems a shame, but it makes sure the drivers are safe. It's the same like a road car would be tested. It has to be safe for the driver, so we have the same issues to overcome. But like you say, it's quite upsetting to see, but we have plenty to keep testing.
It's just something you have to do.
Yeah.
What Lawrence Tomlinson has achieved here is truly remarkable. World-beating sports cars and racing machines being made right here in the heart of Leeds. It's obvious his life feeds a passion living in just one place, the fast lane. This is Jonathan Strait for Made in Leeds.